Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I'll be speaking about 5, then it was 10, 12, now it's 14 mistakes astrologers are doing during their chart readings. If you feel I've omitted something, please write me in the comments. I'm very curious, what do you think? What are your experiences with astrology? So we will start right away. So some of these mistakes are the normal part of the learning curve. For example, the last point about the giving too many details, bringing too much confusion. So that is normal, and that is kind, we could say, the innocent. But I want to start with a list of 5 no-goes, the hardcore mistakes, which shows, we could say, the evil intent, and the astrologers which those committing those mistakes should be definitely avoided. So first, the worst, and you may think, what's going on? But I have seen also in Poland, there are astrologers who are sending the automatic reports. So they are basically getting your money, they are getting your details, then they are putting in the software, and then they have some automatic reports like Venus with Mars in that house brings that, Venus in that house brings that, and so on. So they do no job, they are just printing it, or not even printing, just downloading and sending in the email, and that's it. So that would be the first. The second, which is a bit innocent, I would say, especially if the second branch you are doing is completely fine. But what I'm thinking about here is that some astrologers are combining 2 branches of knowledge, and they are using astrology for marketing. For example, they are mainly doing the psychological reading, or some of them are just some coaches. Another type of people are just saying something about some conspiracy theory or other thing, and they are basically treating astrology like the external part for marketing. So they say this is astrological reading, they are basically saying something about the combination you have, but then they are quickly jumping to the psychology or coaching or whatever field they are good at. So this I normally see in the people who don't have the training, the real training of tradition in Vedic or also Western astrology. They just touch a little bit the topic and they want to be doing the readings, and they are basically having some astrological knowledge, but then they are quickly jumping into coaching or psychology. And if that psychology is good, if you are a psychologist, then I think it would be better to say that you are just doing the psychology consultation with the assistance of astrology. That would be, I think, the proper way. The next one is about astrologers who are wanting you to buy things from them, some expensive kind of gems, or maybe the yagyas. I will do some expensive Agnihotra for you, I will do some Homa for you, I will do some specific ritual which will cost 3,000 euros, or a gems selling a very expensive gem. So this is also, and often the astrologers are also combined to either having some collab with these jewelers, or they having the side business and you don't know it, they have this connection. So you are basically, they are trying to get you into buying their stuff, and what they are really earning from is not from the consultations, but from the other thing. The next thing is about the publishing your data without consent. So astrologers who are sometimes having publishing books or doing something with your data, sometimes they are making the posts or anything without withholding your private data, so that is also kind of no-go. And astrologers who are basically making a consultation which are in a big percentage based on the fear or sadness, so they want you to put you in the state of fear or sadness, or that kind of, there is no other way than to either have another consultation or buy another mantra from me or some gem or anything like that. So I would say that this is the 5 hardcore list which says that you should avoid basically these kind of astrologers. Maybe the most innocent one is the one with the other type of knowledge, who is combining these 2. This is more like, we could say, a little bit going to the next list, which I will be speaking right now. So on the main list we have here the 14 points which I made for you. And the first one would be about the rectification. So avoiding rectification, no rectification, and especially for Vedic astrology, it's very important, because in Vedic astrology we have 16 divisional charts, and these divisional charts, they are changing. And for example, sometimes 2, 5, 10 minutes difference, this creates a lot of difference, because the ascendant will change. For example, if Navamsha in the chart related to marriage, or in the Dashamsa chart related to career life, so then your whole reading will be different. I often asked the clients, did you have, when I heard, oh, I was by this astrologer and I made the reading, I made the Vedic reading, so I'm asking, okay, what was the rectification? What's the rectification? So the answer is very often, I would say more than not, that there was no rectification at all. So no rectification, so without any Navamsha, proper Navamsha, if astrologer is doing especially the Vedic reading, then you are missing a lot. Basically, it's for in our tradition, in our school, it's so basic thing. We always starting the proper chart reading with the rectification. In fact, in the first reading, the first third, so the 30 minutes of consultation is only about the rectification of charts. So we try to get the proper ascendants in the Navamsha and Dashamsa. It's so important because only then you can properly and with a solid foundation say something about the marriage or relationship and the career life. Only when you have Navamsha and Dashamsa rectified. And Sharavari also said that you cannot even do one step in astrology without using the Varga chart. For example, without the Varga chart is like you feel that something is coming, but you don't know from which part of environment this is really coming from, so you cannot correct that. The second, which is very connected and almost very similar, is don't use Vargas. So astrologers are not using the Vargas. Some of them are only using the Navamsha to ascertain, evaluate the strength of the planet, but nothing more than that. And I understand that because without any tradition, without any school, there is absolutely zero knowledge about how to rectify the Vargas. There is some knowledge about the Navamsha, about the Dashamsa, what to do with Shastyamsa, what to do with Shastamsa, what to do with Vimshamsa. Basically, you need to have some kind of traditional knowledge or traditional education to be able to do something with the charts from the perspective of using the houses and yogas in that Vargas. So many astrologers are completely ignoring that. They are just using the main chart and they are basing all of their prediction on the Rasi chart. The next one is many astrologers are treating the lords, karaka and arudas and all Vargas, everything as the same. So for example, my favorite things to ask is always, what is the difference between the seven lord and Venus? And it is very philosophical and deep question. So I would answer that. I did that in one of my Instagram posts, that the lords are more relationship based, but the karaka, the planets like Venus for relationship, is more substance based, and the karaka is the hand of God. So this is the resources and the blessings you are getting from nature, whilst the lords are showing what kind of relationship you are having in your life and what you can expect from various relationships in your life. So many people, many astrologers, they don't know the difference, so they are saying the same things. For example, seven lord with the Mars or seven lord with the Saturn, for them have the similar evaluation or similar interpretation, like Venus with Mars or Venus with Saturn, or seven house occupied by Mars in Rashi is the same for them as seven house occupied by Mars in the Navamsha. Whilst the properly astrology would say that there is a big difference between all these points related to relationship. So that is something also important. And if you are treating everything as the same, then you cannot get the nice, complex picture of what's going on, because you are basically applying the same type of logic to all of these points. And this can even be confusing, because if these points will have, for example, contradicting placements, like for example, you have Venus with very nice Jupiter exalted and you have seven lord debilitated and you don't understand the difference, then it may make you confused, and in the following you will also confuse the client. And the next thing, which would be also similar, is reducing everything. Every reading is reduced to lords. So I was also a little bit, my Guruji V.C. Larsen, he was also saying me, again you are stuck with the lords. And I think in my case it is coming because in the early age of learning astrology, I've read a very good book about the Western astrology, and it was all the lord's placement in different houses. For example, it was 7 lord in 5th, 7 lord in 4th, 7 lord in 3rd, and I was always like, oh, this is so important. For me, it was like a basis. So there are many astrologers who are restricting that, and that is, I think, very much due to popularization in the market due to these books. But if you read the text like Brihad Parashara Hora Shastra, you are presented with many levels, and they have also the very the same importance as the Lord. So many people are restricting their marriage scenario, for example, to the 7th Lord, and so one cannot really benefit from it when not doing so. So we should rather, for example, if we do a relationship, we should go to Upapada, Navamsha, Titi, and there is Bhava from Karaka, like 5th from Venus, 12th from Moon. There is independent meaning for all of these points, so we can get a better understanding what's going on. The next one, point 5, was about giving prediction based on the one factor. So basically this is also kind of fatalistic approach, and this is the same thing with the previous one, but it's more generalized. And I see this very often not only as a question, not only as an answer, but more as a question. For example, oh, some astrologer told me I have 10 Lord in the 8th house. This means that my career life is doomed. Is that right? So this is very much like tunnel approach, tunnel thinking. The next one would be the prescribe same remedies for same position. So this is also wrong, because for each house there is a specific remedy. For example, for Kendra houses, we are using more the tantric remedies. Tantric here, it means that we are either advise the food, colors, or gems. For the Trikona 5th and 9th, we are more prescribing the mantras or other type of worship, because the 5th and 9th has to do with mantra, has to do with chitta, has to do with knowledge. So this is a bit different approach here. Also for other houses, like for example for a 12th house or 11th house or 6th house, we can approach the remedial measures with the Rishi mantras. And also we are giving the mantras based on the aksharas, how many letters, how many phonies these mantra are having. So for example, Jupiter in the 10th house, and when there is affliction or there is any affliction of Mars or Jupiter or any things like that related to 10th house, then the mantra, for example, Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya would be good, because it has the 10 syllables. For other houses, it could be Namo Rudraya Vishnave Mrityurme Pahi, different mantra for different house. So we should have basically each mantra for each house, and also the forms of mantra are changing. For example, if you have Ketu, which is Ganesha, but you have Mars Ketu like me, then it can give Uchista Ganesha mantra for you. This is a specific Ganesha mantra. When Ketu is with other planets, then it can be a different type of Ganesha. So we should also have basically the minimum 9 forms of Ganesha for each conjunction, including Lagna. So that can be also wrong, that the astrologers are just, oh, Jupiter afflicted, Om Namah Shivaya, or they are even doing this, Mercury afflicted, okay, let's do the Vishnu Sahasranam, because in Parashara it's said that when Mercury is afflicted you can do a Sahasranam. So it's very simple, it's over, and no thinking is needed for that. It's very automatic approach, I would say. If we are giving the remedies or the mantras which are more specific to that position of the planet in the individual chart, then we have then the energy is much better precise, the direction is better precise, and of course that will influence highly the effect what you are going. The next one is about the Vimshottari dasha, using only Vimshottari dasha, and of course this is the same like with Vargas. There is no much information how to use the other dashas, but basically the normal moon Vimshottari is only active or only working for 50% of people in the full range of things, because for people when the moon is not in Kendra or Trikona, you have to use different type of Vimshottari, and this is only Vimshottari. The moon Vimshottari, the Janma Vimshottari, based on the moon position, will work for health, will work for general, how you're dealing with other people's, or how other people's are entering or dealing in your life. That is all we find. But when it comes to your personal desires, the effect of the houses of lordship, then we should use the variation Vimshottari. And also for other things like longevity or health issues, we should use the Shula dasha, we can use the Narayana dasha. There are all so many different other dashas which are more specific for specific things. So that would be the next thing. The other thing is the tunnel vision based on what the client is providing. This is, I must say it, I'm also guilty of being entrapped in these problems, because when there is some yoga in the chart, for example, let's say you have Saturn and Ketu in the 1st house, then and you see, oh, fourth lord is there, okay, you may have a bad childhood, maybe something with the mother, and basically if the client is telling you, yes, it was this happening in my life, then what you are doing, then when the astrologers can do, the trap is that he restricts the possible interpretation coming from that yoga only to this one interpretation, and this is really blocking the other types of things which could come up with this yoga placement. So we could say that every position of each planet, it will influence many areas of life. So any planet will influence relationship, health, career life, your spiritual life, education, and many things depending how it's placed from different houses. And it's a trap to restrict this one thing for one specific, for example, event in life, because you have, what we have to understand how to get out from this type of thinking, for me, very helpful was that you have only 9 planets, but there are so many events in your life, right? And these events are also very much changing in the one category. For example, career life, relationship, there also is changing a lot, but where are all the planets which are showing the specific manifestation? So we should understand that the Rashi will show kind of abstract way of depicting what's going on, and then for more specific we have to use the Vargas, Prashnas, Titi Pravesh, and other things. So the one yoga is basically giving rise to many other interpretation. The next one is about the making fatal. This is the 10th house, making a fatal prediction like you can't marry someone with Kuja dosha, or there is a bad compatibility, you should stay away. So this is the bad fame of Vedic astrology, this is the fatal thing. And if you read the text, then you may be caught in some things like, wow, there is the situation and you will have horrible character, or your wife will be very much nagging, and you will be poor for whole life. And it should never be taken literally, as every yoga has other points which can totally change the thing. So that is the point, that don't take the literal. So also if you take literal all other matters like religion, you also are going into the black trap or the rabbit hole. So don't go there, don't take it literal, try to get what was the meaning, what was the idea behind that statement, and use the other points of the chart to either improve or confirm, maybe confirm what's going on. And then you can always give remedy, always give the beneficial factors, energies, how they can improve the situation. The next one is about convincing to buy expensive remedies related to or connected to the business, right? So this I already mentioned, but I think it's so often it cannot be ignored. So sometimes astrologers, they have some other connection to other resources, and they are basically trying to get you into buying their stuff. It could also be books, it could also be some kind of other articles. So this is the presenting one with the situation that either you are doing that or your life will be bad. You will continue in having the bad luck or something like that. The next one is not admitting they're wrong. So this is also a red flag, and it was approved by science that the workers admire the bosses which admit to their faults. And this is also very much human to bring this translation of astrology to the client. So if the astrologer admits that he made a mistakes, it also is good for him because it opens him to a correction and improvement in much quicker way. So this is also quite an important thing. The next point is about giving too many mantras. Especially I'm speaking here about giving, for example, 2 or 3 mantras for the same devata. So the rule is that if there is one devata like Rudra or Shiva or any type, then we are giving one form only for some specific time. Then after 40 days you can change to another form. But if you are, it's basically the rule that we are not reciting the 3 Vishnu mantras or 3 Shiva or 3 Ganesha mantras. We are basically trying to have one form. And also if someone is not really open or it's something new for a person, the shorter mantras are much better and not so many mantras. So this can be a little bit overburdening, and this can be overwhelming also. So that is that point 13. Now the 14, the last point, is about giving too many details. So this can also confuse the person. This is like a picture, and this is for astrologers who have Mercury and Rahu dominated lagnas. I have seen that they are trying to give so many points. They always feel and this point and this point and even that point. And what helps me here, and this can also be helpful for others, is that if you have a picture, there's only a few spots, there's only few places when you can add something. If you add too much to a picture, then the form and the symmetry and the composition is ruined basically. So if the client is basically ending the consultation, when there is an end, there should be a clear, crisp picture of what one should do, because the astrology is like a map. So if we add too many points there, it becomes a very foggy picture there. So the advice is to either do recap at the end and mention the most important points, or trying to restrict what one wants to tell with the really important highlights. So one is getting like 12 or 10 important points, which are very valuable and very crucial and can help the person. Okay guys, so that would complete my list. I'm very curious, what are your points? Please write them in the comments. Maybe you have a very nice insight. I'm very curious to read that. If you like the video, please click the like button, and if you'd like to be notified about similar videos or lives in the future, please click that subscribe button. So see you in the next one.